He's discriminating against his own boss and doesn't know it. She's the CEO of the company that just acquired this boutique. He just told her to try somewhere more accessible. In 7 minutes, she'll fire him on the spot, but right now, she's silent, calm, gathering evidence, and 3 customers are about to watch dignity dismantle prejudice without raising a single voice. Today, a woman who never raises her voice changes an entire institution with a single phone call. 10:03 a.m., Manhattan's Diamond District. Rain is threatening, but undecided, beating the edge of awnings and dusting the sidewalks with a silver sheen. Dr. Maya Thompson steps from a black sedan, wearing jeans, clean white sneakers, and a slate blazer over a simple tee. No entourage, no logo bag. Only a leather folio tucked under her arm and a quiet steadiness that doesn't announce itself. She takes a breath beneath the boutique's awning, letting the city's noise fall behind her, ribs and out again. Detroit is still in her lungs. Bus routes, double shifts, the jealously guarded $5 bills folded into a sock drawer. The girl who did 3 jobs to afford textbooks never quite left. She just learned to speak in boardrooms. 20 years later, Thompson Industries sits at $2 billion in annual revenue. 12 weeks ago, her company finalized the acquisition of Vermilion Retail Group, a portfolio that on paper includes a quiet jewel called Beaumont and Sterling. Maya pushes the door. "Welcome to Beaumont and Sterling," says a woman with neat blonde hair behind a display of card cases. Jennifer Walsh, sales associate. Her smile is professional, practiced, and already measuring. Maya smiles back. "Good morning. I'm looking for the Astor Weekender, platinum hardware, stone leather. I saw it in your fall lookbook." Jennifer glances over Maya's outfit. Jeans, sneakers, blazer, and then over Maya's shoulder, as if something more appropriate might materialize. "Of course," she says, the vowels warm, the eyes cool. "Those are, special order pieces. We keep a limited selection on the floor." She gestures toward a smaller case near the front. Entry-level leather, bright, approachable. The implication is upholstered. Maya's gaze drifts past the smaller case to the vaulted mid-floor, where the Astor Weekender sits like a quiet spaceship on a pedestal. $15,000 of restraint, disguised as excess. "I'd like to see that one," she says softly. Jennifer hesitates. The hesitation has weight. From the back, a tall man in a graphite suit accelerates into the scene with the casual ownership of a conductor raising a baton. Derek Mills, store manager. His tie is the color of a winter sky before snow. He reads the room in a blink. Client, associate, request, and sets his smile like cut glass. "Is everything okay here?" he asks, eyes on Jennifer, voice pitched to sound protective without saying who he's protecting. "Absolutely," Jennifer answers. "I was just explaining that the Astor is typically reserved for validated clients." Validated. It lands with the soft thud of a door closing in a carpeted hallway. Maya folds her hands on the counter, posture easy, eyes attentive. What does validation entail? Her tone is curious, not combative. She is genuinely collecting the room. Derek steps closer. "For certain Maison-level pieces, we ask for a card on file and a brief identity check before we remove them from the case. It's quick, ensures everyone's comfort." He says the last word like it's draped in silk. Maya glances sideways. In a private fitting salon, a couple is being poured champagne over velvet trays, no card on the counter, no tablet in sight. A hush of laughter floats out like perfume, then seals shut behind soundproof glass. She turns back. "Comfort," she repeats, "for everyone." "Exactly," Derek says, as if they've found a common language. Maya nods. "I'll be paying by wire, and I'd like to inspect the Astor Weekender before I decide." Wire is fine once you're in the system, Derek replies, smile never flickering. If you'd like, we can start you with a few of our more accessible pieces while we get you set up. The phrase sits between them, the way some people sit in front rows they didn't purchase. More accessible. It is not the first time a door has tried to talk to Maya like it's a concierge. She turns to Jennifer. Could we begin with the Aster? Jennifer's eyes fly to Derek as if pulled by a string. Derek gives a small, suffocatingly gentle shake of the head. We like to build trust. Maya lets the air go in slowly. Maintain dignity. Map the room. Gather data. This isn't just an afternoon errand anymore. It's a discovery. A white-haired woman, browsing wallets, lifts her gaze and lingers. A man at the watch counter watches, without watching, his phone face up, thumb hovering like a camera that won't click. In the corner, a young white couple, comparing crossbody straps, share a look. Curiosity, discomfort, something that won't ripen into action. Silent witnesses are part of any architecture. Do you have a client lounge? Maya asks, tone still even. I'd like to make a quick bank call before we continue. Derek's smile complicates itself by 1 degree. The lounge is for our Platinum and Maison clients. There's a bench in the foyer. His finger indicates a low, upholstered strip by the door, placed at just the wrong height to undermine anyone who sits there. Maya doesn't look at the bench. She looks at the Aster weekender, then at the security podium, where a guard in a navy suit adjusts his stance without moving his feet. She feels the room begin to script her for a part she won't audition for. Understood, she says. Then let's stay right here. Jennifer clears her throat, like she's about to be helpful. We do have the sable tote in pebble leather. It's a great starter piece. Starter. Another word with a lace collar and brass knuckles. Maya sets the folio on the counter, fingers resting on the seam. She could end this in one gesture. She could pull a single page that makes ownership a visible noun. But power is timing, and timing is truth's best stage manager. Let the room speak first, so it has to live with what it said. Just so I'm clear, she says gently, eyes on Derek. You're declining to show me the Aster until I pre-qualify. That's the policy? It's best practice, Derek says, voice calming, precise. We find it protects the brand. The brand, Maya echoes, tasting the varnish on the phrase. In the private salon, a muffled laugh, the clink of glass. On the mid-floor, the handbag under glass catches a ribbon of light and holds it like breath. Derek leans in 5 millimeters, close enough to suggest mentorship, far enough to keep plausible deniability. May I ask, are you local? Sometimes our partners at Lexington are a better fit for. For what? Maya asks, not sharp, just exact. For. He recalibrates. For an introductory experience. Jennifer shifts, relief flickering. She's watched this conversation end here hundreds of times. The script writes itself. Suggest, redirect, smile, watch them leave. The store retains its standard. The client absorbs the lesson. Maya lets a small smile touch one corner of her mouth. Control sits in how much breath you take before you answer. I appreciate your guidance, she says, gracious to the last. One last thing before I go. Could you bring out your compliance liaison? I'd like to confirm how best practice is defined for first-time platinum inspections. The sentence lands like a feather that turns out to be a key. Jennifer blinks. Derek's smile tenses a fraction. He wasn't expecting precise internal vocabulary from a woman in sneakers. He recovers. Of course, he says. Marcus handles compliance. He's upstairs. A subtle nod to the security guard, a murmur in an earpiece. While they wait, Jennifer tries a bridge. If you're exploring options today, she says, we could start a client file with, I'm exploring something, Maya says, still pleasant. and I prefer to keep my file closed until I understand the rules. The older woman by the wallets lifts her chin, interest tipping toward respect. The man at the watches looks away for the first time, not out of boredom, but out of discomfort with what the mirror might show him. Maya breathes again. Single parent, 3 jobs, double majors, a fellowship she almost couldn't afford to accept, a startup that almost folded twice. She learned to outlast rooms that were designed to make her feel temporary. Derek fills the gap with a tone that belongs to headmasters and velvet ropes. We curate exclusivity because our clientele expects privacy. It's not personal. Maya's eyes soften. It never is, she says. That's how it lives so long. A woman wants to buy herself a beautiful thing because she can. A young associate near the door whispers to a colleague, "Is she?" The rest of the sentence is swallowed by a look. Assumptions are multilingual. You can hear them without hearing them. The security guard's hand lifts to his earpiece. "Marcus is on his way," he says toward Derek, but loud enough to mark territory. "Thank you," Maya replies to the guard, an equal courtesy that rebalances the oxygen in the room by a micro-degree. Derek's phone buzzes on the counter, an internal ping. He glances. The veins at his temples sketch a pale line. He smiles again, the kind of smile you learn when coaching meets warning. "Shouldn't be long," he says. Maya looks down at her folio, then back up with that measured warmth she uses when she's giving a board member a chance to hear themselves. "I'll ask my question once," she says. "Then I'll decide whether to stay." Have you ever been guided out of a place you fully belonged in, told to start smaller, try something more accessible, or prove yourself first? Drop a comment if you felt that tightness in your chest and chose dignity over drama, because what's about to happen will show you why calm is not surrender. It's a strategy. Maya straightens, not taller, just truer, and turns to meet him with the patience of someone who already knows how the next 10 minutes end. "Good morning," Marcus says, voice smooth but perfunctory. His eyes scan Maya, then Derek, then Jennifer. He doesn't offer his hand. "I understand there's a policy clarification needed." "Yes," Maya says calmly, her hand resting lightly on her folio. "Your manager here has declined to show me a platinum-level item without a prior identity check. I'd like to confirm whether that's a store-wide compliance mandate or a preference." Marcus taps his tablet awake. The glow paints his face. "Our protocol states that high-value pieces can only be shown to verified clients. That verification can be identity, card, or a pre-existing record. It's discretionary." He turns the screen slightly, but not enough for her to read. "Discretionary," Maya repeats softly. Derek folds his arms, emboldened. "Exactly, which is why we've chosen to guide Ms. Thompson to more accessible alternatives." Jennifer adds, too quickly, "It's for her comfort as well. We want everyone to feel comfortable here." Comfort. That word again, embroidered to sound gracious, but barbed when it landed. Maya nods once, as if absorbing a lesson. Around them, the silent witnesses shift in their orbits. The white-haired woman sets her wallet down, but doesn't speak. The young couple whisper to each other, glancing at Maya, then away. The man at the watch counter shakes his head slightly, but not enough to become involved. The whole room is watching, but no one is with her. Maya tilts her head. "So, by your own admission," she says evenly, "the rule is discretionary, and today you chose not to extend that discretion to me." Marcus clears his throat. "Our staff are trained to assess client suitability on site. That includes attire, presentation, context." He trails off, realizing too late what he's admitted. Jennifer smirks faintly. Derek doesn't flinch. Maya keeps her tone steady. You're saying my jeans and sneakers disqualify me. Marcus straightens. We didn't say disqualify. We said assess. And your assessment, Maya says, is that I don't belong here. Silence presses like velvet against the walls. From the private salon, the champagne couple emerges. The woman's eyes flick across Maya, then to Derek, reading the tableau. She says nothing. Her partner tightens his grip on her hand. Witnesses, yes. Allies, no. Maya breathes once, steady. She is composed, dignity embodied, the very opposite of what they want her to become. Derek leans closer, lowering his voice, but ensuring the entire mid-floor can still hear. Ma'am, you need to understand, this store has a reputation. We're not here to waste anyone's time, yours or ours. The Astor isn't for browsing. It's for serious clients. Jennifer adds, we've had situations before. People are asking for items they could never purchase. It gets awkward. The line lands like acid on marble. Maya's jaw flexes, but her voice remains even. And you assumed I was one of those situations. Derek's smile doesn't move. We try to prevent embarrassment. Whose embarrassment? Maya asks. No one answers. The security guard adjusts his stance again, shifting closer. His presence hums like a warning. You are being watched, not welcomed. Maya folds her hands in front of her, letting the silence stretch long enough to make them restless. Then, gently, if I leave now, what will you record about this interaction? Marcus glances at his tablet. I'd note client declined verification. Client redirected to accessible line. No sale. Slow and deliberate. Thank you for the clarity. Jennifer exhales, already victorious in her own mind. Derek clasps his hands, certain the matter is closed. But Maya doesn't move. She simply sets her phone on the counter, face down, screen dark. Her voice softens even further, the way a surgeon's voice does, just before the incision. Do you know why I asked for compliance, Mr. Hale? Marcus blinks. Because you disagreed with protocol? No, Maya says. Because documentation never lies. Every word you've spoken is now written in your system. Every glance, every refusal, every discretionary judgment, archived with your names attached. Derek frowns. I don't see how that matters. Jennifer chuckles, then bites it back. Maya tilts her head, eyes unwavering. It will matter very soon. The air thickens. Customers shift uneasily. Even the chandelier seems to dim a fraction. Jennifer breaks the tension with a sharp laugh. Look, if you can't afford it, just say so. No harm in browsing, but don't make this into something it isn't. Her voice carries. Two women at the jewelry counter glance up, eyebrows raised. Someone murmurs, that's harsh. Maya doesn't flinch. She has seen this exact tactic before. Humiliate the target until they leave voluntarily, so the store never has to record the refusal as discrimination. But she does not leave. Instead, she lifts her phone, taps once, and says into the mic, it's Maya. Send the team. Then she sets it back down. Derek chuckles, dismissive. Calling backup? Going to write a Yelp review? Jennifer smirks. Or post a TikTok? Marcus shakes his head, faintly annoyed. This isn't necessary. Maya only smiles, a calm that reads like thunderclouds gathering. The man at the watch counter mutters now, just loud enough to register. This feels wrong. The white-haired woman folds her arms. She doesn't leave, doesn't intervene. She simply waits, as if she knows something is about to shift. The boutique hums with tension. Maya speaks again, softer than ever. You've shown me who you are. And you've recorded it in your own system. Thank you for that. She steps back from the counter, but she does not move toward the door. She stands in the center of the boutique, owning the floor, with nothing but stillness. The seconds stretch. A security chime sounds faintly as the front doors open. The first corporate representative in a charcoal suit enters. A second follows. They don't browse, they don't greet, they walk straight toward Maya. Derek frowns. Jennifer blinks. Marcus shifts uneasily. Maya watches their faces, serene. Right now, if you were in Maya's place, calm, dignified, being dismissed in front of strangers, what would you do? Would you walk out quietly, confront them loudly, or stand still and wait? Be honest in the comments, because in less than 5 minutes, the entire room will discover why patience can be the most devastating power of all. Derek Mills clears his throat, instinctively straightening his tie. Jennifer Walsh looks from one to the other, uncertain. Marcus Hale lowers his tablet slightly, like a shield he suddenly doesn't trust. The taller of the two newcomers, a woman with sleek hair and a crisp navy suit, steps forward. Her voice is low, precise. Dr. Thompson. Every head swivels. The name carries. Maya smiles faintly. Right on time. Derek blinks. Excuse me? His voice tilts, trying to recover dominance. The second representative, a man in his 40s, holds up a black folio embossed with the Vermilion Retail Group insignia, the very parent company of Beaumont and Sterling. His tone is clipped. This is a scheduled compliance visit. Jennifer frowns. Scheduled. No one told us. Maya's gaze rests on her, calm but unblinking. Of course not. I wanted to see how the team would handle a first-time visitor. And you did. Flawlessly, if the goal was humiliation. The words drop like stones in water. The ripples reach every corner of the room. Derek tries to recover, laughing in a brittle way. Ma'am, I think there's been some confusion. We were following policy, were you? Maya asks. She doesn't raise her voice. She doesn't need to. The stillness around her amplifies every syllable. Or were you following perception? Marcus Hale swallows hard. His tablet screen reflects in his eyes, notes he doesn't want to read anymore. The corporate woman steps closer. For the record, Dr. Maya Thompson is Chief Executive Officer of Thompson Industries. She is also, as of 12 weeks ago, the primary owner of Vermilion Retail Group. Her pause is deliberate. That includes Beaumont and Sterling. Every location, including this one. Maya doesn't gloat. She doesn't flinch. She simply rests a hand on her folio, steady. So when you decided I wasn't suitable for platinum, when you suggested I try something more affordable, when you told me to wait on a foyer bench, you weren't protecting the brand. You were insulting its owner. The white-haired woman gasps softly. The man at the watch counter mutters, "Oh my God." The young couple by the door lean forward, riveted. Derek lifts his chin, still clinging to a vestige of authority. If you're truly who you say you are. We weren't given any verification. How were we to know? Maya's eyes narrow a fraction. That's the point, Mr. Mills. You weren't supposed to know, because it shouldn't matter. Silence. Even the music track piped through the speakers seems muted, like the system itself is embarrassed. Jennifer's voice trembles now. We didn't mean anything by it. You meant everything by it, Maya replies. Your words, your tone, your choices. They were deliberate. You judged me by my jeans, my sneakers, and the color of my skin. You assumed exclusion was the safest path. Marcus finally speaks, defensive. We're trained to minimize risk. Maya cuts him off with a single glance. Not sharp, but absolute. The only risk here was revealing who you are. when you thought no one important was watching. The corporate man opens his folio and begins pulling out printed documents, termination letters already prepared, signed, and sealed. The rustle of paper is louder than any shout could be. The boutique hums with collective disbelief. Customers stare, staff freeze. Even the security guard takes a step back, hands clasped in front of him. Maya lifts her phone again, taps once, and holds it casually at her side. Her voice is quiet, but resonant. Corporate oversight has been monitoring this entire exchange. Every word is logged. Every discretionary judgment archived. There is no debate about what happened here. Derek's mask finally cracks. His voice pitches higher. You set us up. Maya turns to him fully. No, I came here like any other client, and you failed the only test that matters. Treating people with dignity. Jennifer whispers, almost to herself. Oh my God, she really is. Yes, Maya says softly, but loud enough for the entire room. I really am. And what you revealed today is bigger than one handbag, bigger than one store. You revealed a culture that believes dignity is optional. The room exhales like a lung releasing smoke. The corporate woman steps forward again, documents in hand. Effective immediately, Derek Mills has been terminated for discriminatory conduct. Jennifer Walsh was terminated for misconduct and humiliation of the client. Marcus Hale was terminated for compliance negligence and failure to de-escalate. The words are clinical, but the impact is visceral. Derek's face drains. Jennifer grips the counter for balance. Marcus exhales a shaky breath and lowers his head. Maya speaks again, not triumphant, but clear. You thought you had the power, but power is not in who you exclude. It's in how you uphold dignity. And in this store, dignity will no longer be optional. The customers clap. Not polite, not hesitant. A sharp, building applause that echoes against the limestone. The young couple cheers softly. The man at the watches finally sets his phone down, nodding. The white-haired woman wipes a tear. Jennifer whispers, "Please," but the sentence dies. Maya doesn't look at her. She looks at the room. If I had been anyone else, this would have ended with me walking away humiliated, unheard. But I was born to turn humiliation into reform. And that reform starts here. Stop. Did you see that coming? That look on Derek's face. That's the exact second his world collapsed. What do you think was going through his mind when he realized the woman he dismissed owns the store? Drop your thoughts below, because power, when revealed, is never forgotten. The silence that follows feels electric. This is no longer just a boutique. It is a courtroom, a stage, a mirror. And in that mirror, Maya Thompson's dignity is the only reflection that matters. The corporate representatives stand flanking her. One reads aloud, effective immediately. Derek Mills, terminated. Jennifer Walsh, terminated. Marcus Hale, terminated. Security to escort. The words land like hammer strikes. Jennifer grips the glass counter. Wait, please. I didn't know. If I'd known. Maya's gaze cuts to her, even but sharp. And if I weren't who I am, if I were just another woman walking in on her lunch break, what would you have done? Jennifer's lips tremble. She doesn't answer. The security guard shifts uneasily, stepping closer. Do I need to? Maya raises her hand, silencing him without a word. Authority radiates from her in a way no uniform can mimic. Derek explodes first. His carefully groomed composure cracks. This is insane. You walk in here dressed like a tourist, acting like you belong. And suddenly, we're out of jobs because you're secretly some corporate plant. Maya's voice doesn't rise. No. You're out of jobs because you mistook dignity for disguise. The crowd murmurs. Agreement. Shock. Recognition. The young couple exchange a look that says, finally. Marcus, pale now, tries to find footing. Look, Dr. Thompson, Maya, I was following written policy. I have the training manuals. I can show you the documentation. The corporate man interrupts, voice cold. We've already reviewed your reports. They reveal selective enforcement. 8 flagged complaints in the last year, all buried under client unsuitability. Everyone filed by women of color. Marcus stares, mute. His defense dissolves. Maya's tone carries no malice, just clarity. You chose silence as your shield. Silence is no shield. It's complicity. The security guard finally steps forward, instinct telling him to end the humiliation. But Maya turns her gaze on him, calm. Don't touch them. They'll walk out on their own. Because they know they're already finished. Derek's voice breaks with anger. You can't do this. I've built this store's reputation. My clients trust me. Maya tilts her head. Your clients trusted an illusion built on exclusion, and illusions don't survive daylight. Jennifer shakes her head furiously, desperation cracking her voice. I was just following Derek's lead. I didn't mean to. Intent does not erase impact, Maya says softly. You didn't mean to humiliate me. Then why did you smirk? Why did you suggest I try somewhere more affordable? Why did you laugh at the thought I might belong here? Jennifer crumples against the counter, tears spilling. The white-haired woman who'd been silently watching finally speaks. Her voice wavers, but carries. She's right. I saw it. You didn't even try to hide it. The boutique vibrates with whispered agreement. For the first time, the room itself seems to take Maya's side. The corporate woman places the termination letters on the counter like verdicts. Security will escort you out. Do not return. Jennifer sobs openly. Derek mutters curses under his breath. Marcus, silent, stares at his own hands. Maya's eyes sweep across the boutique. Every person in this room just witnessed what happens when bias believes it's untouchable. But dignity does not beg. Dignity does not bend. Dignity waits, then it acts. The applause begins again, stronger this time. Not polite claps, an eruption, fueled by years of watching scenes like this in silence. The young man from the couple calls out, about time someone said it out loud. The white-haired woman nods vigorously, tears still shining. The man from the watch counter, silent until now, steps forward. Dr. Thompson, I filed a complaint here last year. They said I was mistaken, that I must have misinterpreted the tone. He looks at Derek, then Jennifer. I wasn't mistaken. Maya meets his gaze. And now, no one will dismiss your voice again. The boutique is no longer theirs. But Maya is not finished. She turns back to the corporate reps. Prepare a system-wide audit. Every branch, every policy, every complaint is flagged or buried. We're not cutting weeds. We're pulling roots. The woman nods briskly, already typing on her phone. You ruined it yourself when you treated dignity as optional. The doors open. Security escorts Derek, Jennifer, and Marcus into the rainy street outside. Their departure is quiet, almost reverent, as though the room itself knows justice has weight. Inside, Maya exhales once, softly, a release, not relief. She faces the customers still lingering. No one should fear humiliation when they walk into a store. Luxury means nothing if it comes at the cost of humanity. The white-haired woman steps closer. Thank you, she whispers. Maya nods. Thank you for staying to see it. The applause swells again, not for spectacle, but for truth. What you just saw, swift justice delivered on the spot, doesn't happen often. Usually, stories like this end quietly, with the victim leaving unheard. But today was different. Do you think public accountability should be this immediate in the real world? Comment yes if you believe it's time for consequences to match the offense. Maya looks at it one last time, then at the room. We'll decide later whether to move this bag. Right now, the only thing we're moving is culture. The camera lingers on her steady gaze. Within 4 hours of the boutique incident, Maya convened an emergency leadership meeting. No press, no announcements, just internal reckoning. This wasn't an isolated event, she begins. This was a system working exactly as designed. Our training created this outcome. Now we redesign the training. The COO slides a report across the table. We pulled 5 years of complaint data. Patterns are significant. Maya opens it. Numbers stare back. 71% of client suitability refusals involved Black or Hispanic shoppers. Phrases like more accessible, starter piece, and introductory clustered around certain customer profiles. Pre-verification requests applied 2.3 times more often to customers in casual wear, regardless of purchase size. This is institutional bias, Maya says. 1-hour modules don't override years of implicit messaging, Maya interrupts. We need structure. We need mechanics. We need a framework that makes dignity non-negotiable. She stands, walks to the whiteboard, and writes 7 letters vertically. DIGNITY. This is how we rebuild. D. Document in plain language. Every service refusal gets logged with clear, specific reasons. No euphemisms. If someone is denied access to a product, the system asks, why? And discretion is not an acceptable answer. Was it credit risk? Inventory limitation? Policy violation? Name it. If you can't name it without embarrassment, you probably shouldn't be doing it. The compliance director nods, already typing. I illuminate the data. Monthly public dashboards showing complaint patterns, refusal rates, and resolutions. Transparency isn't punishment, it's accountability. If our boutiques are treating customers fairly, the data will show it. If they're not, the data will show that too, and we'll act on it. So the governor raises a concern. Public dashboards could expose us to truth, Maya finishes. Yes, that's the goal. Every shift has a dignity officer, a staff member with authority to override discretionary bias in real time. If a customer feels profiled, the dignity officer intervenes immediately, not 3 weeks later, after a complaint form gets buried. This person reports directly to corporate, not to the store manager. The operations director asks, how do we train them? Civil rights educators, Maya says, not brand consultants. N. Neutralize coded language. We retire phrases like starter piece, more accessible, introductory experience, client quality. These are proxies. They let bias hide behind professionalism. Replace them with clear, neutral service steps. How may I assist you? Which item interests you? I'll retrieve that for you now. Jennifer's words echo in Maya's memory. We could start you with something more approachable. The velvet violence of suggestion. I invest in real training, not 1-hour videos. Multi-day workshops designed by people who've experienced discrimination, facilitated by educators who understand power dynamics. Role-play refusals. Practice interrupting bias. Teach staff to recognize when policy is being weaponized. The brand director asks, will customers notice? They already notice, Maya says. They notice when they're profiled. Now they'll notice when they're respected. T. Test for proxy bias. Our hiring rubrics get audited by third parties. Terms like culture fit, polish, brand presence. These are proxies that tilt outcomes towards sameness. We rewrite them. Client care behaviors, de-escalation skill, equity mindset, and we publish the changes. The HR VP hesitates. This will slow hiring. Good, Maya says. Hire slower. Hire better. Suspension. Third offense, termination. No exceptions, including for top performers. She caps the marker and turns back to the table. This isn't aspirational. This is mechanical. We're building a system where dignity is the default, not the exception. And we start tomorrow. In a smaller conference room, HR rendered a parallel map. The hiring funnels were clean on paper, but the interview rubrics weighted polish, culture fit, and brand presence heavily enough to tilt the outcome towards sameness. The rubric had never named race. It didn't need to. It is named proxies. At the end of day 5, the chair of the board, a woman whose career in consumer goods had survived 3 recessions and 1 hostile takeover, joined by video. You have the votes, she said to Maya. We can move on to anything you deem necessary. We're not looking for a headline, Maya replied. We're looking for a habit, and then we're going to break it. The press conference took place on day 7 in a modest, sunlit atrium, not a glitzy hotel ballroom. A simple backdrop read, "Dignity, not decorum." Cameras fussed on their tripods. Reporters jotted. Store employees watched on phones during lunch breaks. Volume low, eyes loud. Maya stepped to the podium with the same calm she'd used on the boutique floor. On Tuesday, she began. I walked into one of our stores in jeans and sneakers to buy a bag. I was told to try something more affordable. I was asked to sit in a foyer. I was denied service under the language of comfort and policy. I was not recognized. That shouldn't matter, because it should never matter. We have conducted preliminary audits across all our locations, she continued. We found patterns that contradict our values. So we are changing the rules by which our rooms are built. She held up a 1-page document, the kind of page that ends old habits. Effective immediately, we are implementing the Dignity Framework across Vermilion Retail Group and every Beaumont and Sterling boutique. Document real-time interactions that trigger denial of service with plain language reasons. No more euphemisms. Illuminate the data. Monthly public dashboards showing complaint patterns and resolutions. Guard the floor. A dignity officer on every shift. Empowered to override discretionary bias. Neutralize coded language. Retire phrases like starter piece, more accessible, and bench in foyer. Replace them with clear, neutral service steps. Invest in training designed by civil rights educators and hospitality experts, not just brand consultants. Test our hiring rubrics for proxy bias with third-party review. Publish the adjustments. Yield accountability. Consequences tied to outcomes, not intent. Bias with impact meets discipline with teeth. She set the page down. These are not slogans. They are mechanics. If you want a different culture, build different machinery. A hand shot up, an investigative reporter. Dr. Thompson, are there leadership changes beyond the 3 terminations? Yes, Maya said. 2 regional directors are suspended, pending review. A third has resigned. I've asked the former chair of the City Human Rights Commission to co-lead our Ethics and Access Council. She has full authority to audit us and full freedom to criticize us. Another question. Will you release the audit? We'll redact personal details, Maya said. But we will publish everything that matters. And we will invite our clients to help keep us honest. A third. Are you concerned about brand damage? Maya's answer was almost kind. When a brand is built on decorum, the truth feels like damage. When it's built on dignity, the truth feels like repair. Week 2 began with listening sessions. Not the performative kind, with pastries and platitudes, but rooms with chairs in a circle and rules posted in large print. No retaliation, plain speech, receipts welcome. Associates of color spoke about the small ways policy had been used to tidy them to the margins. Scheduling, commission splits, who got the champagne clients, who fetched the water. One veteran salesperson admitted she'd learned to say, "Let's start with something approachable," because her mentor had taught her it moved undesirables along. A young Latino stock lead described how he'd been told to hover invisibly near black shoppers in streetwear. He didn't want to. He did it anyway. "I thought I had to choose between feeding my daughter and feeling like a person," he said, the last word catching. The room held his grief like a bowl. Maya attended as many sessions as she could, not to speak, but to hear. She wrote more than she said. When she did speak, it was to name a rule and remove a punishment, to thank a confession and attach a repair. By week 3, Beaumont and Sterling stores didn't feel different to customers yet, but the back rooms were changing. Corkboards came down, new service flowcharts went up. Step 1, greet. Step 2, ask. Step 3, offer options. Step 4, present requested item. No pre-qualification. Pretty policies, soft as velvet and just as muffling, were archived for compliance review with red banners across their covers. Retired. In Beverly Hills, a dignity officer overrode a manager who tried to send a young black producer to begin with canvas. The producer left with the piece he asked for and a staff that had learned a different reflex. In Chicago, a floor lead apologized on the spot for starter piece language and kept her job because she owned the mistake, logged it, and followed the new sequence. In Dallas, an associate initiated a real-time verbal audit on a refusal. The system pinged HQ, and a regional director called the store within 3 minutes to monitor the interaction live. Word traveled. The machine is watching because the people asked it to. Week 4 brought the first public forum, not a marketing event, but a town hall live stream from the flagship. Clients were invited to share experiences on camera. Some had been loyal for years. Some were first-timers, still wary. A woman in a mustard coat told how she'd once been followed by an associate between cases like a shadow with a clipboard. A college student described working 3 summers to save for a single card case and being told to try the website instead. Maya didn't defend the brand. She defended the right to tell the truth. "Your words are not bad publicity," she said. "They are blueprints we can build from." By the end of the month, the press coverage had evolved. The first wave, Fortune 500 CEO fires branch team after store bias, mutated into retailer publishes bias dashboard, new dignity officer role spreads, luxury without gatekeeping. Commenters argued, as commenters do. But even the skeptics had to admit, this wasn't a statement, it was a system. Back at headquarters, the Ethics and Access Council delivered its first interim report. It was candid and unsparing. The brand's visual language, ads, lookbooks, even staff dress codes, tilted toward a singular aesthetic of belonging. Policy favored discretion over definition, letting bias colonize the gaps. Training focused on tone and posture, not power and history. Recommendations arrived with the wound. Broaden imagery, define steps so discretion can't be weaponized. Teach the legal and human architecture of discrimination so staff understand why this matters, not just how to perform it. Maya signed the recommendations in blue ink and sent them to the board with one line: "We do the hard version, or we don't do it." The board approved, unanimously. That night, Maya stood alone in the flagship after closing. The Astor Weekender still sat under glass, but the room around it felt unsealed. less like a curated garden, more like a public square with velvet edges. She placed her palm lightly on the case, not to claim the bag, but to take its temperature. She could still hear Detroit in the HVAC, the sound of a bus that comes late, but comes anyway, of a mother's footsteps in a second job's hallway. She whispered to no one and everyone, "Luxury is not who we keep out. It's how we let people stay themselves when they walk in." She turned off the light. The boutique exhaled in the dark. And for once, it didn't feel like a secret. By the second month, the story had left the boutique. It had become an ecosystem event. What began as a humiliation over a handbag transformed into a case study in how bias bends not just people, but policy, and how one woman leveraged ownership to rewire an entire chain. Students at Howard University's School of Business dissected the dignity framework in a lecture hall, whiteboards filling with notes. Document, illuminate, guard, neutralize, invest, test, yield. One sophomore raised her hand and said, "It's like she built an algorithm for fairness." The professor smiled. "Exactly, because bias has its algorithms too, and they've been running for centuries." Across the country in Oakland, a small boutique owner taped the framework in her window, handwritten on poster board. "We greet everyone, every time, no exceptions," the sign read. Customers noticed. Some took pictures. One caption went viral: "Luxury can learn from the corner store." In the Diamond District itself, change had texture. A doorman at a rival jeweler admitted to a journalist, "We've had quiet meetings about this. Everyone's scared of being the next Beaumont headline." The fear wasn't reform, but it was a start. Luxury insiders whispered about the Thompson effect, how her moves were forcing heritage brands, usually glacial in their policy shifts, to reconsider who they trained their staff to serve. Some scoffed it would fade. Others admitted they'd been waiting for someone to prove it could be done. But the ripple didn't stop at retail. At a community forum in Detroit, Maya's hometown, teenagers packed into a rec center gym to hear her speak. The walls still smelled faintly of floor wax and Gatorade. Folding chairs rattled as the crowd settled. She stood without slides, without a lectern, just a circle of light around her. "When I was your age," she began, "I worked 3 jobs just to buy textbooks. People looked at me and saw limits. I looked at me and saw work. But I want you to see more than work. I want you to see worth. Because that's what they tried to strip from me in that store. Not my money, not my ID, but my worth." A hand rose in the back. A boy no older than 16, voice cracking with both puberty and nerves. "How do you not get angry when they treat you like that?" Maya's smile was faint but full. "Who says I don't get angry? I just don't hand my anger to them like a gift. I keep it, I grow it, and when the moment comes, I spend it as change." The crowd clapped so loud, the basketball hoops trembled. Meanwhile, in corporate America, consultants began citing Thompson Industries in boardrooms, not for profit margins, but for cultural metrics. A deck circulated. Dignity as competitive advantage. Bullet points showed decreased complaint rates, increased employee retention, measurable upticks in client satisfaction. Someone added a final slide in bold red: "Fairness scales." A Fortune cover line arrived, the CEO who made luxury accountable. Maya declined the photo shoot. Instead, the magazine used an image of her speaking to kids in Detroit. Sneakers scuffed, blazer plain. The subheader read, "Power looks like this." But perhaps the most striking ripple was personal. Zara Brooks, the 24-year-old photographer who had spoken up at the boutique that day, opened her business account under the new system. She posted a picture holding her new debit card with the caption, "Belonging notarized." Her followers surged. Within weeks, she was hired to shoot an ad campaign for Vermilion Retail's new equity initiative. In interviews, she said simply, "I wanted an account. Instead, I got a future." At headquarters, Maya stood with her leadership team, reviewing the first quarterly dignity report. Green lines rising where red once festered. A footnote highlighted, 90% of staff report increased clarity. 76% report increased pride. She closed the binder and said, "Good. Now let's take it further. Let's share this system with anyone who wants it. Competitors, small businesses, schools, whoever asks. If dignity is power, it doesn't weaken when you give it away. It multiplies." The COO asked, half joking, "Even competitors?" Maya nodded, "Especially competitors. Because if the tide rises, maybe bias finally drowns." And so the yearning spread. Parents sending her quotes to children. Activists holding up placards that said, "Yield accountability." Op-eds debating whether this was reform or branding. But in each conversation, one fact held. Someone had done it. Someone had taken humiliation and written it into history, not as shame, but as system change. This isn't just about a luxury boutique in Manhattan. This is proof that systems can change when people stand still with dignity and speak the truth. If this story moved you, share it with someone who needs to see it. Because the next story we tell might be theirs. In a world where dignity is too often treated as optional, one woman proved it could be non-negotiable. What happened at Beaumont and Sterling wasn't about handbags or compliance logs. It was about something older, deeper. Who is allowed to belong? Dr. Maya Thompson walked in dressed like anyone else. That was the point. To see what would surface when privilege thought it was alone. What surfaced was ugly bias masked as policy. Exclusion disguised as decorum. But she met it not with rage, not with retreat, but with stillness. And when the time came, she revealed what true power looks like. Not volume, not vengeance, but vision. Because power isn't what you say when the cameras are rolling. It's how you hold yourself when no one is watching. Power isn't exclusion. Power is making sure dignity has a door it can always walk through. This story spread far beyond a boutique floor in Manhattan. It reached classrooms, boardrooms, small shops on corners, community centers in cities most people never visit. And with every retelling, someone asked, "What would I have done? Would I have stood still? Would I have spoken up? Would I have stayed silent?" The truth is, silence has power too. But it always lends it to the wrong side. Justice doesn't only arrive in courtrooms or corporate audits. Justice lives in the small choices. The word you choose when you could choose a slur. The hand you extend when you could turn away. The silence you break when everyone else decides comfort is safer. And maybe you're wondering, why tell this story here, on this platform, to strangers across the world? Because dignity is global. Because humiliation travels fast, but so does hope. Because sometimes you don't need another headline. You need a reminder. Your voice matters. And silence is never neutral. This was not the first time a woman was doubted, dismissed, or denied, and it won't be the last. But it is one more story where the ending bent toward justice, not shame, where bias lost its grip, where stillness became a storm. If you've ever been told you don't belong, remember Maya's story. Remember that dignity doesn't ask permission, it doesn't need a receipt. It just needs someone brave enough to hold it in place until the world catches up. We'll keep telling these stories. We'll keep naming injustice. And we'll keep reminding you, your silence is never neutral. It either builds walls or it opens doors. choose the doors. And if this story gave you hope, don't just like it, share it, because the next story we tell might be yours.